What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Comically Boston breakdown episode. And yesterday was the official 2-episode premiere for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, now streaming on Disney+. And over the next 4 weeks we're going to be breaking down all these episodes as they come out. And I really love this poster that we got here and how it's, showing the first episode or two of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but also has like the grid lines kind of like it's breaking up into like a comic book page. And I wasn't sure how I was gonna like the animation style just from the trailers and the initial images we've seen, but I actually really dig it, and this first 2 episodes got me really intrigued. But let's get right on into it and talk about it. The release schedule for this show was January 29th, the first 2 episodes premiered, and that would be Episode 1, Amazing Fantasy, and Episode 2, The Parker Luck. Next week, February 5th, we'll be talking about Episodes 3, 4, and 5. February 12th, we'll be talking about Episodes 6, 7, and 8, and that comes out the day before Captain America Brave New World. And then the final week, we'll be talking about Episodes 9 and 10, the season finale. So 3 more weeks after this, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. New episodes come out Wednesday. They actually come out Tuesday at midnight type of thing, because I was thinking they were going to come out Wednesday at like 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern time, but they didn't. So it came out and it was out during the day, and I was like, damn, I could have been making this video yesterday. But oh well, waking up before I go to work today to go and try and do this. It's also like 19 degrees outside and like a wind chill of like 12, so it's freezing outside, so I'm delaying that process anyways. But there was a couple other posters that we had previously seen. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man with the spider suit and the white Oscorp suit that we will be getting at some point throughout this series, and this other one that I had already talked about in previous week's episodes leading up to this. But here's just another quick look at it. Just consider it a good deed from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's me, by the way. I'm Spider-Man, which is something he says in this first episode. And then there's this last poster that I wanted to point out, and just looks like a Scantron, but it's marked out so it looks like the mask of Spider-Man. Kind of cool. If you guys ever took one of those pencil-in Scantron tests, you guys know that shit awful. Terrible. This show's Rotten Tomatoes score isn't terrible though. Currently sitting at 100% Rotten Tomatoes. It only had 6 critic reviews, but about an 80% audience score, so pretty good stuff from this series starting off with its season premiere. And it had 2 episodes, the first one being titled Amazing Fantasy, which I believe is after the first comic book issue that Spider-Man shows up in it's like Amazing Fantasy 31 or something like that. But that's the first appearance of Spider-Man in the comics, so might as well be the first title of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. But let's jump right on into it. We open on Queens, New York, in a kind of parallel universe to Tom Holland's Spider-Man that we know from the MCU. And it's kind of parallel, I say, because he's kind of got the same situation, the Queens. He's got a hot Aunt May, and he's missing his train for school, and then Aunt May has to give him a ride, and she's going to be late for work, and if one of us is going to be late, it might as well be me. So she gets her little boy Peter over to, or her nephew Peter, but we all know she's more like a mom to Peter. But she gives him a ride to school, and we see a little Iron Man swinging from her rearview mirror, which is just hilarious. But what we're witnessing is Peter's first day at Midtown High. He's about to go to freshman orientation, which you can kind of see the original title for this show was called Spider-Man Freshman Year. So I guess by changing the title, they can go beyond just freshman year with this Spider-Man, where the original plan, if it was to be Tom Holland's freshman year of Spider-Man, I guess they would have only been able to tell that 1 year, and then everything after that we kind of have been with him for. So I like what they did, because now this is a standalone, MCU project that isn't necessarily connected to the other Spider-Man and connected to anything else, not even connected to like X-Men 97 and the other animated What If or anything like that. This is its own MCU, kind of like DC Elseworld type of thing. This is its own thing, and it's like a parallel universe Spider-Man, and I kind of really dig it, because you're able to have cameos and different characters and, subvert expectations, and we'll get into all of it, but it's really cool how they started this out, I think. So Peter gets dropped off at Midtown High, and all of a sudden a portal opens up in the sky, and it kind of looks like a Doctor Strange portal, and out drops a Venom, and this Venom looks like a Kraven the Hunter Venom. Alright, I mean, whatever. And it's getting stopped by Doctor Strange, and it's just cool. All of a sudden you see a Venom looking Kraven the Hunter Venom spider thing, and it goes to like attack a kid, and Doctor Strange like grabs it, and it looks like our Doctor Strange, but also looks more of like a comic book accurate Doctor Strange, and he kind of goes, "Ooh, what is this? I shouldn't be here." So I believe this is another universe's Doctor Strange, not even ours, because he still has the Time Stone, and we see him try and use it for a brief second, because as he's fighting the Venom and him are fighting throughout the school, and then Venom throws a garbage truck at him, and it starts to go into the school. Doctor Strange goes, "Not so fast." He tries to reverse time to pull the garbage truck out of the school, but Venom hits him, so he's too late, and the truck falls through the school, causing tons of damage to this poor school. So then Venom grabs Nico, which is this new girl we're about to meet in a second. But Venom grabs Nico, and then Peter steps up, and this is like a non-spider powered, this is just Peter being a nice kid, and, you know, having that heroic gene inside of him without the superpowers, which leads him to becoming a hero. You know what I mean? Like, you need to have that Captain America, like Steve Rogers, good guy on the inside to be able to, you know, be that guy, right? But so Peter steps in, and he's like, "Hey man, I don't think she wants you to touch her," or whatever he says. And then Venom drops Nico, and then the portal, and Doctor Strange comes in and goes, "Hey, nice job, kid. Way to step up." And Doctor Strange just bounces up out of there with Venom, and then the portal closes, but a spider drops onto Peter's collar, and as he's helping up his new fellow freshman at Midtown High, Nico Minoru, which will be one of our characters and friends with Peter throughout these series, and as he's helping her up and shaking her hand, the spider bites him. Right as they're about to shake hands, and she's like, "What are you doing? What the hell was that?" And Peter kind of like, you know, faints and passes out. And I have a clip of this.
"Are you okay?"
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been better, but I definitely could have been worse. Midtown, on the other hand.
Yeah, I was here for orientation.
Freshman, huh? Same. So, you got a name, hero?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm Peter Parker. How about you?
Nice to meet you, Pete. I'm Nico Minoru.
Oh!
Okay, rude. I didn't name myself.
No,
Whoa, oh my gosh. Hey, Peter? Pete, are you okay, man? What happened to him? I don't know. He didn't like my name? Hey, Peter?
Very interesting, though, that they showed at the end of that, the spider that bit Peter crawls away and hops on another person's backpack, and that person picks up their bag and walks away. So, does that spider end up biting someone else? This is kind of like a Miles Morales situation, where the spider's from a different universe and came through a portal. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so Peter gets bit and goes down, and then we get the intro, which is pretty much a modern version of the old school Spider-Man theme song. You know, like Spider-Man, Spider-Man. But I have a brief little clip, but it's music, so I'm sure it's going to copyright. But I just want to hear just a little bit of that old school theme song that's in here. So that's the bit of the little intro there, and it's kind of like got that old, "There goes that Spider-Man," and then all of a sudden, "Here we go, and it switches up into like a rap theme song. But that intro ends with a picture of what is the Amazing Fantasy cover of the original time Spider-Man appeared in the comics, but done over your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man style, and we see our Spider-Man here swinging with Harry Osborn, who he saves later this episode. But yes, so they have that Amazing Fantasy poster in the name of the episode, and Peter is late again the next day. And this time, instead of getting a ride from May, he uses his new spider powers and his new homemade spider suit to get to school. And while he's swinging to school, he sees a guy getting trapped or beat up or trying to get robbed by these 3 loser live streamer types. I don't know why you would live stream you robbing somebody. That's pretty much documenting your own crime, but alright, whatever. But we get the moment from the trailer where Spidey here saves Harry Osborn, that he doesn't know is Harry at the moment. But those 3 punks in the background here, they all start to charge at Spidey. One of them has a brick, and Spidey, knocks the brick out of his hand, thwoops the brick into the back of the kid's head, and everyone goes, "Ooh!" And he straight up knocks out that kid with a brick. He has to. That kid's out cold. There's no way he's not. But so Spidey beats them up, ties them up, and then, leaves them to get, picked up by the cops or something later. Harry offers him money, and he goes, "I don't got cash on me, but like you got Venmo or something?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Just consider it a good deed from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man." That's me. I'm Spider-Man. And, so he saves his first, civilian type of deal from robbers. And that civilian was Harry Osborn. But a black Harry Osborn. We know Dave Franco, or James Franco, whichever one of the Franco brothers it is, from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies as Harry Osborn and Little Goblin Jr. from Spider-Man 3 in that series, that trilogy. We also know, I think his name's Dane DeHaan from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was Harry Osborn. And honestly, this might be my new favorite Harry Osborn. Between him and Norman being Coleman Domingo, I mean, I'm not mad. I genuinely need to see Coleman Domingo, Norman Osborn in live action now. Just hearing his voice, I was like, oh no, it sounds so perfect. It sounds like a mixture of Coleman Domingo's just buttery voice and the Willem Dafoe Green Goblin craziness that we already know. So I think it's really good so far, but we've yet to meet Norman. But so after saving Harry, Spidey takes off because he's going to be late for school. And then Pete sneaks into class thinking he's about to, get away with it. But the teacher sees him, of course, with the eyes in the back of her head and goes, "Parker, good of you to show up. See me after class." So he gets in trouble. And then Peter, after class, bumps into a pretty girl named Pearl. And he kind of, starts to, blah, 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 fumble his words. And she is Pearl, his former babysitter, and she was 14 when he was 11 and a half, and she would babysit him when Aunt May and Uncle Ben would go out, which is just like a cool little thing that they threw in there. I was like, oh wait, Tom Holland, we haven't seen that Uncle Ben, and we haven't heard anything about him. We just know that he's not there type of thing. So just the acknowledging that this Peter did have an Uncle Ben at some point, just putting that in your mind, like, oh right, yeah, Tom Holland's, we haven't seen that Uncle Ben ever. We just know he's not around, so he died before we see him, and Aunt May ends up dying in the 3rd movie. So it's like, oh god, poor Pete is all alone, poor Tom Holland. But I love this moment where he's like talking to Pearl, and he's like, "You know me, clumsy Petey Parky," and like she's like, okay, and Nico's behind her like, "Dude, who are you crushing on right now?" And he's like, "Dude, I've been in love with Pearl for the longest time," and she's like, "Your old babysitter? That's not weird, sure." I like Nico. Nico's giving him a hard time, busting his balls. But then after they're in their next class, Peter sees a cop fly by the window in a high-speed chase, and Peter excuses himself to go to the bathroom, but of course he's just going to be Spider-Man. And we see the moment that Spider-Man, much like Tom Holland's freshman year Spider-Man that we saw with Tony Stark, he saves a car or a truck from hitting a bus, and New York loves it. But we see the parallels here from Tom Holland Spider-Man to your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's pretty much the same exact clip that that Tony Stark shows Peter, and he's like, "Hey, that's you, right? Wow, 3,000 pounds? You caught that no problem. How'd you do that? You're in like a homemade Spider-Man suit." And, the kid's learning his powers right now, because even we see in your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, he's like, "Whoa, I can't believe that worked." Like, he just jumped, put himself in between a car and a bus to save people. He didn't know it was going to work. So, that just goes to show the other side of the heroicness of this kid. Like, he's a good kid. But after Pete stops a van, he's like, "Pete, you can stop a van. You can ask a girl out." So then he goes to ask out Pearl, and he's got the courage, and he shows up, and captain of the football team, Lonnie Lincoln, has beat him to it. And Pete sees her, and him together, and he's like, oh, you know, and Nico's like, it's okay, I wanted it to be one of us, because I believe Nico's a lesbian or something. It's alright, Nico's cool as fuck. Later, the next day, I believe, Lonnie asks Peter to be his science partner when the science teacher says they can partner up whoever they want. All of a sudden, Lonnie goes, hey, I want Peter. And Nico's like, Lonnie just wants you to do all the work like I wanted to be your partner and have you do all the work. And so Nico thinks he's just using Peter because Peter's smart. But Lonnie actually is smart and wants to partner up with Peter because Pearl was saying Peter's a smart guy. And Pearl was talking up Peter. Talks about him all the time. And so Pete's like, whoa, Pearl talks about me? Whoa. But Pete sees Lonnie kiss Pearl goodbye, and then Lonnie comes over to talk to Pete, and, you know, they end up saying goodbye, and then afterwards we follow Lonnie as he sighs and walks home, and it seems like he's got a long walk home, and this old white woman with a child gives him a dirty look on the train, and then a cop drives by giving him a dirty look, and I'm like, dude, the kid's just trying to get home, and I'm like, well, he's not even doing nothing wrong, like, just, goddamn, poor Lonnie. But Lonnie gets home and we see that he's an important member of his family, and he's got to take out the trash, check his brother's homework, he's checking on his mom's car with the shop teachers at school, seeing what he can do to help her and save money and fix it. You know, so he's just a good all-around kid. He's, you know, important member to his family. So I love that they threw this moment in just to, like, you know, make you feel for Lonnie and, like, you know, but also give you some depth on who this character is. He's not just this smart football, you know, guy. He's a cool guy. He's a cool kid. We then see Peter stops a thief but lets her go because she was just down on her luck. And this was, I have a clip of this, but it's really good.
Hi, I believe this money belongs to you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I lost my job recently. When I saw the money, something came over me. I'm so sorry.
Mr. Pizza Guy, sir, I mean, it's ultimately up to you, but she was just down on her luck.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. You made a mistake. Just please don't make me regret this.
I won't. I promise.
I'm sorry about that. You know, she just made a bad choice.
Thanks for your help, Spider Guy.
It's actually, Spider-Man.
Sure, whatever. Hey, how about a couple of slices on the house for the Spider-Man?
There's actually no the, it's just wait, did you say free pizza? Thanks.
So Spidey saves the day, you know, gets the guy's money back, but then, you know, just realizes she just saw the money on the counter and she's down on her luck, and she's just a girl, and she's like, I didn't mean it. You know, she's crying. She seems like a good kid, but hopefully Spidey doesn't come back to, you know, regret that. But hey, the pizza guy gave Spidey some free pizza, so there starts out Spidey's love for pizza, I guess. And, right, so he goes home with his free pizza, and he sees a DVD player in the alley, and he's like, what? This thing's brand new. And then we start to hear Left Hand Free by Alt J, just like Tom Holland's first appearance in Captain America Civil War. And all of a sudden, Spider-Man sees a dope Audi out front, an orange Audi, and it's much like Tony's orange Audi when Tom Holland met Tony. And all of a sudden, he walks in and he's like, hey, wow, there's a dope car outside. But instead of Tony, it's Norman Osborn, voiced by Coleman Domingo, talking to Aunt May. And he's like, hi, I'm Norman Osborn. And then credits roll, and you're like, what? That's the opening episode? Like, there's so much happened in that opening episode. In the second episode, not so much happens, but, you know, just to quickly get through the second one. Episode 2 was titled The Parker Luck. And we open this episode on a recap in the intro, which doesn't seem necessary, but, you know, I get it. If people were watching week by week, it would have been, you know, good to have a nice little recap. But we pick up right where we left off with episode 1 and Peter talking to Norman Osborn, and Norman offers him an internship at Oscorp, much like Tom Holland's Stark internship. Then we go over to school and we see Lonnie being such a nice guy with his football team, and he's like rubbing this, doing like a good luck ritual, rubbing the old championship trophy or something like that. And we just see Lonnie being a nice guy to Peter and being like, what's up, y'all? Hey, guys, this is Peter, my science partner, right? Like, introduces him, makes him a part of the group, you know, doesn't let him feel left out or anything like that. Doesn't let anyone bully him, you know, just like, hey, this is my boy Peter, everyone, this is Peter. Fuck with him, you know, like, Lonnie's a good dude. I really like Lonnie. But Peter tells Nico about his new Osborn internship, and Nico seems a little bit more skeptical about Norman Osborn. And Pearl it was eavesdropping and hears them talking and is like, "Wow, Pete, you got an internship at Oscorp? Well, that's awesome. Good for you." You know, he congratulates him on it. Then we see them, and Pete's now getting late for his Osborn internship, so he's like, "I gotta go," but and they're like, "Come on, you're not gonna stick around for the game?" Then we see Lonnie scores a touchdown. And, you know, they're like, "Woo!" But Pete's like, "All right, I can't be late, but I saw Lonnie score, so I'm glad I did that, but I gotta go." So Pete takes off to go to the internship. And the front lobby guy starts giving him a hard time, like, "Hey, you're late." And he's like, "What? I'm like 2 minutes early." He goes, "Yes, but you're supposed to be here 15 minutes early to do your identification picture." And he's like, "Well, when I got here, Mr. Osborn said to come see him," which Norman did tell him to do. But the front desk guy goes, "Yeah, all right, yeah, sure." And we also see his badge ID for Oscorp here and his intern badge. We see the picture that is in the show on this poster here. And all episodes now streaming on Disney+, so go check this out for yourself if you haven't yet. If you're here this far in the video and you haven't checked it out, I don't know what you're doing. So the guy at the front desk sends Peter to a lab where Peter meets Asha from Wakanda, who I actually thought was Shiri at first. I just saw her hair braided up and her accent. I was like, "Whoa, she's a Wakandan scientist? Is it Shiri?" But no, it is a girl named Asha, and she says she's from Wakanda. So maybe, do they know each other? I mean, they're both scientists. They're both, you know, from Wakanda. I wonder if they do know each other. There's also Amadeus Cho and a girl named Jean. And these are all characters, I believe, that we'll see throughout the series. Amadeus Cho, I believe, in some point in the comics turns into like a Hulkling or something like that. Jean, I'm not sure which Jean this is. I don't believe it's Jean Grey, though. And then Asha, I'm not sure if she has any comic book origins or anything like that. And if you're like thinking, "Oh, well, you're the expert, you should know." I'm not necessarily a comic book expert. If you want comic book expert, go over to Phase Hero or Professor Jenna and go read some comics at Jenna Anderson's YouTube channel. She knows comic stuff. I'm just like you guys, you know, I'm a consumer of this stuff. I love this stuff. And I'm on the ride with you guys. You know, I'm an audience viewer. I'm, you know, somebody that you could come to this channel and get the breakdown and the recap from me. So maybe you don't have to watch the episode, or maybe you're not sure if you want to watch the episode, and maybe you come see how I feel about it and what I'm thinking, and that judges your scale on where, if you'll watch it or not. And if you don't watch it, maybe you'll watch just my breakdowns, and if you are going to watch it, maybe you'll comment below and talk to me about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. But continuing on, after Peter meets the other interns, we meet Dr. Whitman, who is his boss, teacher, whatever, leader of the internship, and he's a bit of a Scrooge old man type. But we see Dr. Whitman gives them assignments, and Peter wanted robotics, but ends up with Dr. Carla Connors in the energy department. She says they're trying to make a Stark reactor, but, you know, not the Stark reactor, because he's copyrighted that whole thing. He's patented it, right? That type of thing. So they're trying to make pretty much Stark tech at Oscorp with Peter, which I also find this interesting. It's not just this is Peter's Iron Man, and Iron Man doesn't exist in this universe. Like in Tom Holland's universe, other than, you know, No Way Home, where Norman Osborn comes in from Tobey's universe, in Tom Holland's MCU, there is no Oscorp. There is no Norman. So in this universe, it's not like there is a Norman and there isn't a Tony, because we saw that there's an Iron Man swinging from May's rearview mirror, and they talk about Stark here. So clearly, Iron Man is a thing, but just this Peter's mentor is going to be Norman rather than Tony Stark, like for Tom Holland. And that's just going to be one of the many differences for this Peter story. But so, right, so that's what he's doing with his internship at Oscorp, and he's working with Dr. Carla Connors, not, you know, whatever Dr. Connors' first name normally is. But Carla Connors is a black Dr. Connors, and she's also working at Oscorp. So it's like, and she wasn't necessarily working on regenerating limbs, she's working on, you know, energy. So I'm very curious in just the possibility that this lady might one day be the lizard that this Spider-Man has to fight is fascinating. You know, and the fact that, like, Lonnie, right, is his science partner and captain of the football team. And Nico calls Peter during his internship and says, hey, the football team won. And Lonnie's in the background all excited and invites Peter to a party afterwards. Him and Nico get invited to a party.
Hey, Nico, that's Parker? I better see him at Sweaty Mike's tonight. To get the trophy, he's my new good luck charm. Love you, Pete.
I better see you at Sweaty Mike's tonight. Love you, Pete. You know, like he's got just, I love you, my boy. You know, like I love it. So then Peter goes to the other interns and they put on a TV during their break and they're flipping through and Peter goes, stop at the news, I like fires, and it's like all awkward. But he's really just, wondering what's going on in his city, and big fire's breaking out in an apartment building, so Peter finds a way to sneak out and go and stop this fire guy. And once he gets there, the fire guy is saying, oh, the developers are paying me to burn this building down so they can buy it back for cheap. And then he realizes, because Peter's like, hey, you're on the 51st Street. And he's like, what? And so the fire guy's a big idiot burning down the wrong building. So Peter kicks this guy through the pet store window across the street, and Peter's like, whoa, I didn't know my own strength, sorry man. So then we get this real creative fight through the pet store where Peter's got to save Spider Dog, and then he's saving like these hamsters on a shelf, and then he pushes the guy through the fish tank, and you're like, oh, he's not going to save the fishes now, and then he's saving the fishes. And he's like, did I knock you out? The guy wakes up, he slaps him, he goes, oh, my bad, you scared the crap out of me. And so he knocks out the guy, and then Peter's got to make it back to his internship. But right when Dr. Whitman is like, where is he? What's going on? Dr. Carla tries to cover for him a little bit. Oh, I sent him to get supplies. And Whitman's like, oh, yeah, supplies. And he comes in, he's like, oh, yeah, sorry, I'm late. I was at the bathroom. And Whitman's like, oh, bathroom, right? And he doesn't have supplies. And he's like in the middle of yelling at him. And then all of a sudden the front lobby guy comes in and goes, Mr. Osborn wants to see you. So everyone thinks Peter's gonna get fired, and they're like, ooh, you gonna get fired, never gonna see you again, peace. Like, yeah, tough look for Peter. But he's not about to get fired, and we actually see him walking over to Norman's space, his office, and he walks by a picture of Norman, with Captain America on the wall. And Peter thinks he's about to get fired and, says to him, like, I'm so sorry, please don't fire me. And we see Norman's Osborn's office overlooks, like, this city, and then it's got this dope high-tech office, and he pulls up security camera tapes, and we see him, on the security footage of the stairwell where Peter's getting changed into a Spider-Man costume, and I'm like, what? He would just get changed in the stairwell right in front of a camera and wouldn't notice it? Like, come on. But whatever, just getting to the point where he knows that he's Spider-Man. And so Norman has the security tape Peter and then goes, so, you're Spider-Man. And that's where the credits roll on episode 2. So that's the season premiere, first 2 episodes. And I was like, of course. Episode 1 ends with them meeting Norman. Episode 2 ends with him finding out he's Spider-Man. And now we go from here into the next 3 episodes in the next week of breakdown. So stay tuned for next week in these Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man breakdowns. Like I said in this video, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you, and if you'd like to support me and the channel further, the best way to do that is by subscribing, commenting down below, liking this video. All those things go a long way to support the channel and get the videos into the algorithm. Stay tuned for the 3 more weeks of breakdowns we have coming up over the next 3 weeks. And I really, really dug this episode, man, and as the credits rolled, and I can't wait to watch the rest of this. It really seems interesting where this could all go and how different this universe is. And I really love how much, you could see in his earliest days of being Spider-Man that he's helping his community out. He's got this guy stuck to a wall and he's like catching a guy on a rooftop. And then also things we haven't seen yet, right? Like we're about to get a comic book accurate Doc Ock type of design, and then there's also a black suited Charlie Cox in here at some point, and then just like the fact that we're going to be getting a Norman Osborn like Tom Holland's Peter Parker's Tony Stark, where he's mentoring him, and maybe this won't be for the best, right? Where I believe Tony Stark had the best in mind for Tom Holland and Peter Parker. He was like, I want to see him do good, and I really care about this kid. Where Norman, you know, we're not really sure what his vibe is yet. He could be trying to use Peter for his own gains, right? Like, we don't know. But if it's anything like Tony Stark, maybe he'll just be making him suits and helping him become a better Spider-Man. And hopefully at some point he doesn't become the Green Goblin and kill Peter. I don't know, but I'm very fascinated to see where the rest of this show goes. Comment below your thoughts. If you'd like to follow my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. Once again, thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. My name's Big Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace.